Real talk, real life, real sisters, and real Southern. Welcome to Southern Sisters. We're Megan, Lindsay, Courtney, and Evie. 4 sisters with 16 kids between us, running small businesses, chasing big dreams, and keeping it real along the way. Each week, we're diving into all things self-care, motherhood, business, and faith, sharing the good, the messy, and the hilarious moments that come with it. Whether you're striving for balance, chasing your dreams, or just trying to keep the kids fed, we're here to remind you that you're not alone. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's chat. Welcome to our episode of Southern Sisters. We are so glad that you are here with us today. This is month 3, and I am so excited that we have made it this far. Okay, because we are celebrating our 3rd month, we decided we would start integrating guests into our podcast. So we have a very special guest here with us tonight. This is our mom. Ow, ow.
Hello.
Renee Kennedy. She is the owner of AAA Life Solutions, which is our host and our sponsor. Which we're so grateful for. This is where we record our episodes here in her offices, and I was able to convince her to stay late today to join us for our episode.
We're so happy.
She's had a long day, but we're so glad she's here because she is the reason why
We're alive.
we're alive.
Wow, that's a big accolade, but it's true.
It is the truth. So tonight for our episode, we thought we would start off. So one thing you need to know about my mom is that she is top-notch, classy to the max.
Real Southern woman.
Real Southern. She has taught us all the Southernness that we are, that we know. Just to get a glimpse of this Southernness, I will tell you a little story. So my mom and I, she is my best friend. We get along wonderfully, and it has been great because it's a pattern that I hope to replicate with my own children. But there was this one time that we did not so much get along. It was only once in my whole life, and it happened to be on my wedding day.
Yeah. Bridezilla. I remember it well.
So it was wedding day. It was leading up to it. But it was wedding day, and I went through so many different phases of footwear of what I would wear for this wedding. Yeah. It started off like flip-flops.
Yeah.
It started off with white flip-flops. They'd be fancy, but they'd be flip-flops, and that was a definite no. What I ended up settling on was white ballet slippers.
Yeah, I remember that well. I'm a shoe person, so shoes are important to me. In fact, I think when I was 12 years old, my dance teacher gave me some 4-inch red stiletto heels that had black bows. Whoa. So I got me a black skirt and a red shirt, and I wore it to church, and I thought Sister McDaniel was going to pass out because I looked like a hooker on Bill Street at 12 years old. But my mom let me wear those shoes, and I love shoes. I've always loved shoes. And so when you wanted to wear flip-flops on your wedding, it hurt me to the core.
It hurt your soul.
I thought, what have I done? I've raised this beautiful woman, this young woman that is so smart and brilliant, and just because everybody was wearing flip-flops, and it wasn't a beach wedding, I didn't understand. I was just like, how could you do that to me after all these years of, just training and loving and showing you the ropes? And I was like, on your wedding day, you're going to wear flip-flops? What?
Megan was just trying to be herself.
Oh, my gosh.
Trying to be
So the slippers were a compromise?
So the slippers were a compromise. And they,
It was a step up for flip-flops.
They were satin and they were sweet. But to wear no heels on your wedding day was a crime. It was a crime.
I remember Mom saying to me, she's like, you're going to see those pictures one day and you're going to wish that you were wearing heels on your wedding day. And I was like, I'll show you. No one will ever see any of my shoes. And so the whole wedding, I made sure to keep my toes covered up.
You did.
And
you did.
Then, there is one wedding picture where you see me walking out of the temple and, you can see the bottom of the slipper. And I'm like,
Yeah, that is ugly, but it's fine. It's fine. She was right. We all know it. So in honor of that, we decided that we'd all wear our favorite set of heels to our first episode tonight in order to honor our mother. And we thought for our icebreaker, we have kind of two icebreakers. So our icebreaker for first is just to say, what do your heels say about you? What do your shoes say about you, really quickly? So I'll start. Mine is a classic black heel. It's not short enough to be dowdy. It's just high enough to look sexy, and it's classic and it's simple, and that is me.
Oh, that's a great one, Mom. What are yours?
No, I'm going last.
Okay.
You guys, Courtney, you do yours.
I'll go next. Okay. So mine say, I know how to be sexy, but I never do this. So I'm just doing this for Mom, but I hate every second of it. Because when I start walking, you'll notice that I'm not a heel-wearing person. So
Do you look like a baby deer?
do I look like a baby deer?
Like a baby horse?
I don't know, but now I'm going to watch.
Oh, like the legs all crazy when they're learning to walk? Yeah, kind of like that.
I thought you did it really well.
Really well.
When you
I
strutted,
worked really hard. You should have seen Mom's face. I walk in to do the podcast. I'm wearing the ugliest waterproof tennis shoes that I love so much that I wore to Scotland. And then I go into the bathroom and I change into my high heels and my sweater, and I walk out and she is like, jaw drop.
Yes.
Who are you? Oh my gosh, I've never seen, even on my wedding day, she didn't look as proud as she looked in that moment.
In that moment?
Yeah, she was just like, I did teach you something. Like, I could see it all over her face.
The shoes matter.
Well,
you didn't even look at me as you strutted.
I didn't.
You were
I strutted so
strutting.
good. I wish I got it on video. I wish I just got it.
That lends to a little story about a few weeks ago when we all got together last for the
Courtney's
three of us
headshots.
girls for
My
Courtney's
headshots.
headshots.
Yes.
I was just showing up to be supportive. It was freezing outside. Megan was taking pictures and was working. And Mom walks in and we're all wearing like, hey dudes,
dudes.
sneakers, loafers, Crocs.
They were
like loafer Crocs.
They were headshots, not foot shots.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
And she literally, our mother literally said, what, is there an ugly shoe convention I didn't know about? And that is why
funny.
you roasted us and we're wearing shoes.
Oh, I love it. Well, it was worth it. It happened. It
Now
was
you
worth
all look
it.
amazing.
It's important. We know. Okay, so my shoes are teal, which is my favorite color. I don't know what that says about me, but I've always been, I have to be matchy.
And you're matchy, yeah.
It drives me crazy. It has to match or at least coordinate really well. And it's a bold, bright color because I just love color and I always loved color. And I'm happy and easygoing. Not easygoing. I'm happy and fun.
Not easy going.
No, I like to pretend I'm
Like, no,
easygoing,
that's a
but
lie.
no.
It's teal or magenta.
Yes, one or the other.
One of your favorite
So it's
colors.
fun. How about you, Evie?
I don't know.
Let me
Wait
see
a
yours.
second.
Let's see.
Let it be said that Evie does not suffer from our shoe deficiency.
No, at all.
She always is on point with the shoes.
Stunning.
Thank you.
She is my other girl. She could have been born of me for sure.
Yes, I do love shoes. I will say, like, these aren't my favorite pair, but they're the ones that go with my outfit. So that says that I care about, like, my shoes matching with my outfits, and I like nice things.
Yeah, you do.
I love it. Okay, that's awesome. Mom, what do your shoes say about you?
Well, today they say that I am stylish but understated, but care about color. And I even put on tan in a can because I was wearing flesh-colored shoes today. And it's February or March, so that's pretty early for me. But, you know,
And they're peep toe.
I'm trying not, and I had my toes, done
you do.
before I wear the peep toes because Southern women have to have their toes painted, have to have their hair done, their toes painted. That's just a rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if that's not you today, that's okay.
Thanks,
But
Mom.
do not wear peep toe shoes without polish.
Sorry,
Lindsay.
Mom. I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
No, that's me too. If my toes are showing, they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to be painted.
I am curling them as we speak.
They look very clean, Lindsay, so
Thank
that's
you.
a good thing.
Listen, it's
and we
just
only
life
got
right
two.
now.
We
Y'all
only
saw
got
my
two
kids.
of the 4 chose, so it's okay.
That's true.
They could be a flesh color.
You know,
She called you out.
I know. She roasted me on the podcast. You know, didn't say? I think I've seen you to have heat shoes and paint the toes that were showing. Or was that you? You?
I've done that.
Oh my gosh, so funny. And if I were like you, I would have painted them on the way over here while driving a car full of kids.
100%.
But
Yes.
I value their
raining.
safety. And it was raining.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's one
dark
thing that stopped
outside.
you.
Yeah.
The rain.
Okay, change the subject. Megan, go ahead. Don't talk about my toes anymore.
All right, so we thought we would do a rapid fire spotlight on mom. So Lindsay has a handful of questions, and you have to answer as quick as possible, like your first response.
Yeah, fast.
First thing that
Who
comes to your
is
mind.
this?
And this is not a
Describing.
spotlight on you. This is us.
Okay.
So you got to think about your kids. Do you want her to do her 4 children?
Yes.
Yeah, you want that too, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So
You
your
want
4
Josh?
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead
Josh
of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh. All 4 of your kids. Okay, ready?
Okay,
Who was the easiest baby?
Josh.
Who
No
was
doubt. Food, ball, he was good. Even though you were
Baby?
a great baby. You
I'm
were a great
already
baby. You
offended.
slept a lot.
Okay. I'm just kidding. No offense in these
This
questions.
was your
okay?
idea, Lindsay.
I know.
Okay.
listen
I thought I had that one in the bag, and now I'm all insecure. Okay, who was the most dramatic as a kid?
Courtney.
Who calls you the most?
Megan.
Who gave you the most gray hairs?
Lindsay.
Who is the most likely to start a dance party?
Megan.
Who was the sneakiest growing up?
Courtney.
Who is the best cook?
Lindsay.
Who, Who's gonna start
Don't be
fighting?
offended. Don't be offended. Don't be offended.
Actually, Josh. No, it's Lindsay. It is. Yes. Josh
got
is
a good
pretty
one.
dang good on that grill, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Who would be most likely to get lost on a road trip?
Oh, gosh. Oh. Well, I guess
Like,
Courtney,
who would-
because
who would like
Courtney
to
got
wander
lost on the way over here. So Courtney.
100%.
Who is the biggest risk taker?
Oh, Lindsay.
Who asked the most questions as a child?
Wow. Probably Lindsay.
Who is the most responsible?
Megan.
Who is most likely to cry during a movie?
Courtney.
Who would drop everything to help you in an emergency?
All of you.
Truth.
That doesn't
Who-
count. If you had to name someone,
Who would get there?
It's a competition.
Lindsay, because she lives 2 minutes away.
By design.
Adam. Adam.
Right? He'll love that. That is the truth. My husband is a better child than me.
He
Okay.
answers his phone when I call.
Yes, he does. Who had the weirdest childhood phase?
Phase.
Doesn't mean
Gosh, weirdest childhood phase?
Anybody have like an emo
Okay.
phase?
Anybody have a doo-doo?
Well, I know
Sarah
you want me to
McLachlan?
say
Tie-dye
Megan, but I would have to say it's Lindsay. Because
Your tie-dye?
Lindsay, she had this thing about her hair. She got her hair short, and then it kind of changed her personality for a while, and it was just a weird phase. It was.
Yeah, it was a bad haircut.
It was.
I said,
told
give
you
me
not.
something different. And then I was like, I look like a man.
like a dude.
I look like a dude. I was miserable.
Change your personality. That was the first time Lindsay had depression.
That's why my face changed. I was like, I'm ugly. Okay, anyways.
That's what,
This week, we'll put it in our story, so make sure to follow us on Instagram. I'll show you the ugly picture.
no, that was whenever they called you Little Steve, and you felt like you were.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I never looked more like my dad than I had the same haircut as him. Okay, next question. Who was the most like you?
Probably all of you are like me, really.
But the most.
the most.
You had to choose.
I can see all of you in me.
Nope.
I mean, me and all of you. No.
Nope. Gun to your
If
head.
it's a, all of you. I'm thinking, okay, who likes to read? That's Megan. Who likes to perform? That's all of you. Who likes sports? That's Josh and Courtney. And then
I would think it would be Megan.
Megan is a lot like me, but she's not as outgoing or performancy as I am, and
But
that
that's
would
Courtney.
be you and you, and then Josh is sporty and can perform. So it's just he chooses not to.
All right, well, I know who's the most like Dad.
That would be you.
Yeah.
Can light up a rooms and
Little Steve. Hey, Dad. Shout out
Yeah.
to Dad. Okay.
charismatic.
Who is the most competitive?
Josh.
Who sends the funniest texts?
Probably Courtney. She sends me pictures of the kids, of the babies, and they're doing crazy stuff.
You can't really top poop in the tub. So
That one comes to mind, but I wasn't going to say it in public.
Thank you. Because
She's a classy lady.
Southern lady. I was about to say that. Who is the best gift giver?
Lindsay, I think
Who
you
was
are.
the pickiest eater?
Definitely you.
Yep. Who is the most stubborn?
Courtney.
Ooh. Who was always trying to negotiate their way out of trouble?
Courtney.
Who would survive the longest on a deserted island?
Megan.
Oh, even longer than Josh.
Yeah. Well, he kind of could go
Megan
Rambo.
would take it as like a
I
retreat.
guess he could go like,
As long as she had a book, she don't care.
She'd sip coconuts and eat a book and be like, I don't need to eat. My kids aren't here.
just read a book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who always had to have the last word?
Probably you.
Probably. Which sibling is most likely to forget an important date?
Courtney.
Who has changed the most since childhood?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Probably Josh. I would say probably Josh.
Who gives the best advice?
That's hard. It depends on the question, but I would say all of you give good advice.
And then who made you laugh the hardest?
You can make me wheeze.
Yeah, and
Courtney made me, well, you made me wheeze not too long ago. I forgot what it was.
But Lindsay on the regular.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
But like once I get a little giggle, I like dig in.
Yeah.
That's like, I love it.
It's like candy.
Yes, it's like candy.
Yeah.
The
That's true.
greatest. And I knew growing up that if I could make Mom laugh, she wouldn't make me go to sleep. And I could stay up a little bit longer. And now I have children that do that. So awesome.
Time
It's
to
so-
right through it.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch you guys with your kids. It really is. I love those little people.
I know. There are a
my
lot of them.
favorite in the world. They are just so special. Love them.
I love it so much. Okay, Mom, why has it always been, this is a great shift to our main topic of conversation. Today we are talking about the importance of teaching kids, your children, faith and gratitude. Why are values so important to teach your children? Not just teach them how to do things, but like the why behind.
I think whenever I had you, and I know those of you that are moms will relate to this, but didn't you just feel when they put that baby in your arms that you were as close to heaven as you could get? That little person had just come to earth and they just had this big spirit in this little tiny body. And I just remember looking in your eyes and thinking, each of you were the most important thing in my life. And I just wanted you to feel like you always were safe, that you always had someone on your side and you were seen and you were heard. And I just felt like so many kids in my era were taught children are not to be seen and heard. And that was a big deal, and I grew up with spankings and, things like that. And I think I can remember maybe spanking you guys less than 5 times your whole life. And I just wanted my kids to know that they were important and that they mattered. And I wanted them to know that they were a child of God and that they were a princess or a prince and they were going to be something great. And I don't know. I just felt like if I could teach them who they are and help them understand what that means, that it could make all the difference in their lives. And I think it has. It wasn't always perfect at it by any means, but it was just important to me that you understood who you were and what you were sent here to do, which was be the best version of yourself and live your life with no regrets. And it's all about choices. And so that's why I invested so much time crawling in the bed with you at night, and each person had their time alone with me. And, you know, it was special, and I look forward to it. And sometimes I was so tired, I was just exhausted, but I don't know. I always looked up to those women that had multiple children, and I was exposed to this. My husband served a mission in London, England, and his mission president's wife, they had 8 or 9 children, and I thought, okay, that's somebody I need to pay attention to, because they were all in music lessons, and they played sports, and they did church, and they just seemed like they had it so organized. And I thought, I'm going to emulate those people that look like they're successful with their children. And, you know, the Bradys and, you know, Gwen Smith, they had a huge impact on me when I was younger. And I had to work a lot, and a lot of them didn't. And it was just like, okay, how do they do kids? That's what I want. You know, because my parents, you know, they both grew up in completely different cultures. And it was difficult. You know, we had a lot of things and stuff growing up that I didn't want you guys to have, you know. So,
well, as a mom now, those times, like thinking about when you would like crawl into bed with us, or we'd get in your bed and like talk to you about stuff about our night. As a mom now, I'm like, oh, this is so exhausting. It's so hard when you like have nothing left. I'm like, I just appreciate you so much more now. I'm like, man, she still did this. She still made sure we felt heard. And it honestly has driven me several times to be like, it's important. You still need to do it, no matter how exhausted you are.
And honestly, I feel like it wasn't, like, if I think back to it, it feels like it was every night, but it wasn't every night, right? Like, it wasn't every single night.
It was, I made it 4 or 5 times a week usually. Maybe 3 if we were having a bad week with a lot of activities.
But it's amazing
but it felt
because
like every night.
I feel like it's 0 or 100, right? Like, I feel like you do it every night or never, you know, or you just failed, right? But it's the same thing I think with Family Home Evening. Like, whenever we had family nights, there were enough of them that
you remember
that were impactful to me. And I feel like that's the same thing with like our conversations at night and stuff. Like, there were enough that were so impactful. It felt like every night.
I can remember being a young mom and asking you, like, how do you always have the traditions? Like, how do you keep up with all the stuff that you always have to do? And you literally said, you only have to do it well once.
Yeah.
And they'll think you did it well all the time. And as a mom, that has given me the space to be like, I've only got to do it well once. I can do it mediocre sometimes too, and that be okay. Yeah. And they'll still remember the impact of the moment without it having to be perfect. And I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. That's how Halloween Olympics was born. I was late coming home. I had picked up the stuff for a fun family night, and it was literally like, okay, we're going to have Halloween Olympics, and what are we going to do? I don't know. What do I have in this bag? So we're going to roast a marshmallow on the stove, and we're going to take these, and we're going to run outside on the trampoline, and we're going to put on a costume as fast as we can because we got costumes, and we're going to do a pumpkin. And then it became Halloween Olympics became a tradition. Yeah. And then we started inviting friends over. But it was born out of desperation. So if people are feeling like, oh my gosh, I've never done anything like that. Well, you will. You'll have your own thing that'll happen organically. And sometimes those are the best type of activities, you know, like when we went out on a boat on Thanksgiving Day and we all kind of talked about our feelings about God and how special that was. And it wasn't planned. It just happened. But it felt like, okay, when we're out on a boat, we're going to think about being close to God and what that feels like on earth, you know. And, we really went camping to get away from my family because they were crazy sometimes. And so we started saying, hey, we're going to go camping on Thanksgiving. And we were avoiding something.
But that was a core memory, and as kids, we never thought that.
You didn't know.
We had no idea. But one of the things I've always respected and admired about you and Dad both is that you always wove faith into the fabric of our family in those informal moments where we would talk about that. So why was that important to you as a mom to literally teach us about faith and God and Christ
And how
all
do
the
we
time?
do that? Yeah.
I think, there were a lot of things that came up, and a lot of it was in my prayers, like, okay, Lord, how am I going to manage these 4 children today? How am I going to be the best mom? But how am I going to teach them what you want them to know? And so a lot of times it was just this inspiration that I would get. You would say something like, I know I used to say, it's not true today, but riding the bus builds character, because there were so many people that would just, back in the day, it wasn't unsafe to ride the bus. Now, there were some unsavory characters on there, but it created all kinds of conversations about stuff that you would come home with that had happened at school or happened on the bus, and it led to a lot of teaching moments. But I saw a lot of people in my life, because now I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and so there was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and a lot of bad people. And I thought, okay, people make their own choices, but I saw what those choices did to their families. And I thought, okay, the most important thing I can do is try to help my children, our children, navigate these waters of life so that they know they can think in their head, what happens? Let's play it out in our head. What happens if you choose X? What happens? And I thought, the most important thing that we can do is try to help our children avoid these huge mistakes that they can't undo, like addiction or other things that children are dealing with today. And so it starts when children are young. If you're having fun with your children at home, they want to be with you. You are their main focus. They love you so much. But if you let the screens babysit them all the time, now they love that more than you. And they don't have an alternative option, And back in the day, it was like, it was a big deal for you guys to spend the night with other people, because I had known people that were assaulted and had issues when they spent the night with a friend. I remember being 10 years old, going to a friend's party, and I thought, oh, I finally get to go to this school party. Well, they were drinking and sleeping around in the bedroom, and I was 10 years old. And I'm like, okay, if it can happen to me, what's going to happen, 30 years down the road as things continue to deteriorate? And so your dad and I were just extremely overprotective of you guys, but I'm glad, because it worked. I mean, you guys hopefully felt protected and felt loved, and you felt like if something happened, you could come and talk to us. And we always would try to say, tell us the truth. You won't get in trouble if you tell us the truth. Mm-hmm. There was no need to lie. It was just like, be honest. There will be a consequence, but you will not get in trouble if you tell the truth,
That's a rule at our house. Well, we always felt safe to talk through things, and we felt protected. Like, I felt protected growing up and in a bubble because of the strict rules. And sometimes I hated them. Well, but it was on purpose.
We had a lot of peer pressure from our friends that were like, why are you so hard on your kids? I'm like, we're not hard on them. We want to hold them close and protect them because that's our job, And they're going to grow up and they're going to be adults, and then they can make whatever choices they want. But sometimes kids need you to be their protector. And I would say to you guys, just say that, we're jerks and blame it on us, so that you always had an out. Like, it's not me. I really want to come and participate, but my mom and dad are crazy. So, no, they can't do it.
Why do you think that it was important to teach us about gratitude?
The only way to be happy in this life is through gratitude. So if you're going through a hard time, it was important to me that you guys weren't brats. And so Dad and I felt really strong about that. Like, we taught you to say please and thank you. And what do you say? You say thank you. But how do you get the kids to feel it in their core is more like, okay, you can use guilt, which sometimes we have to. You can do reverse psychology, which sometimes we have to. But the main thing is you want them to understand that if they can count their blessings, they can go to sleep counting their blessings instead of their problems. And then, being grateful, having a grateful heart is how we survive a lot of bad things. Because if you can see what you're grateful for in bad times, like valleys, you're going to have valleys in life. But it was just really important that we taught you how to be grateful so that, people would appreciate who you were as people and not just, all right, say please, say thank you. And that's important. But if they never really see what they have to be grateful for, like you guys got some of the popular things, but when we had 4 kids at home, we couldn't afford all that because we had our own business. And so we tried to pick and choose some of the special things, like Timberlands when that was a thing, getting the Timberlands. And I don't even remember what all the other stuff was, but
whenever Birkenstocks are popular.
Oh yeah, another ugly shoe. Yeah.
I'll never forget coming to school and being like, feeling so cool in my Beaver Creeks. But then everybody was wearing Wallabies. Like, I missed it.
You missed the trend.
No, you were so close. I was like, I'm finally with it. And they're fake, but still, I'm with it. And then
The Beaver Creeks were the Bobos of
Yes.
the...
Birkenstocks, yeah. It's funny.
I love it.
So I remember one time whenever, one of the things that I feel like really hit home to me, because I feel like my kids are so blessed that they need experiences that help them see how hard some people have it. And one of the things that was really impactful for me was whenever one of the Christmas days, we always had we had our garage set up as a karaoke room. And we took all of our karaoke equipment on Christmas Day, right?
How old were you?
How old was I?
Let's see,
12?
Josh was 5, so you were about 10.
10?
Maybe
A little older than that.
He
Yeah,
might
I
have
think
been
I was
6.
12.
because I was
I
married.
think I was 12.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. So, anyways, I remember going and taking all of our karaoke stuff, and we all went there to this orphanage for girls. And I just remember being in the main chapel area and just being up front and singing, beautiful, Christina Aguilera, beautiful, to all these girls who didn't have any family on Christmas and probably didn't feel the best about themselves. And they were teenage girls. And I just remember looking them in the face and being like, oh my gosh, like I'm so lucky for what I have. And I think that like there were a lot of experiences like that we had as kids that you helped kind of orchestrate. But my question is, how did that all come together? Like, how did you orchestrate that? Because I don't know that.
Well, it comes from a position of y'all were acting like a bunch of brats, and your dad was like, okay, we have to get a handle on these kids. They have no appreciation for what they have. And I didn't want to do it on Christmas Day. That was all your dad. I mean, he was all about taking Christmas trees and presents to families that didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. And I was thought, okay, well, we can do some Christmas. And he's like, no, we're going to take real money that we would spend on them and make these baskets or these bags for these young women that have nothing. And it ended up being one of the best Christmases we've ever had as far as impactful. And we just thought, okay, that was truly an inspiration your dad had. And at the time, I was like, but it's Christmas Day, and those little girls, just to see their faces, they had such a chip on their shoulder. Do you remember?
Yeah, they were kind of angry.
Oh, they
at
were
the beginning.
They were angry that they had to come and listen to us, and we were like trying to put on a show. But once they came up and started singing with us, it was just like this switch turned, not only for them but for us, and it was just unforgettable. And it does take things like that. Maybe it doesn't have to be as big as that, but you have to look for those opportunities to teach your kids how to not be brats about all of the things. And there's more affluence now than there was when you guys were growing up. I mean, at least most of your friends, you kind of all had the same problems. But nowadays, you've got kids that, I don't know how y'all do it. I mean, every present they want is $400 just about, you know? And then they get into these collections of things. Mm-hmm. And then they change the collection. And that's okay, because I like my shoes. I like a little jewelry. I like collections. I've got dogs and birds to prove it, right? So, but I think you have to step back and look at your family and say, what do we need? Look at each one of the children and say, how are they doing spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, emotionally? And sort of like do a checklist and say, what does that child need? All right, this child has a tendency to be blank. So we need to gear our activities around that issue,
For the whole family?
Yeah, for each one of you guys. It was what I did. Dad just kind of would jump in and say, okay, I would say, we got a problem with this. And he would say, well, what about this and this? And then we talk, and then he would just come on and say, okay, here's what we're doing. And so,
so nice.
Make it fun.
I love that, he would run with an idea. Like I would say, here's the problem. And then men like to fix problems, right? Mm-hmm. And so he would say, well, let's go golfing, or let's go clean your parents' yard, or so there are a lot of service things to do. And those books that I read by Steve's mission president was Teaching Children Joy, how to teach children to be happy. Because if they think that their happiness is tied to material things, they're never going to be happy. Mm-hmm. And what else can they buy, right? Mm-hmm. And then the next book was Teaching Children Joy was about jumping in the leaves and going to the park and finger painting and making salt Play-Doh. I mean, can you imagine kids making their own Play-Doh nowadays?
Hardly.
It's just like it's so cheap to buy it. It costs more to make it, right? Yeah. And so then you would have, how do you teach children responsibility? Like how to take pride in doing chores. And so we would play games, like we'd set a timer. All right, let's blitz. Most children nowadays don't know how to blitz. They don't know how to clean the house in 30 minutes.
Wait, can we have a definition, Mom? What does the word blitz mean?
Blitz
when
means...
Mom says, let's blitz.
When I say, your dad is on the way home. Let's blitz. Let's blitz.
What does that mean, Mom?
So we would clean everything. We would all right, let's as fast as humanly possible. I learned a long time ago that it takes 7 minutes to do the dishes. So you have this big sink of dishes. If you were to time yourself, a huge pile of dishes, how long does it take? It takes 7 minutes. I can tell you that because I've timed it. But other people should do that too, because it makes it more fun. Mm-hmm. If the kids are like, all right, we're going to get pizza if we can blitz in 20 minutes. Let's see if we can beat our record, And maybe your house needs an hour. I don't know. But most people don't. They have somebody cleaning their house for them, or they have, other important things. And so the children never take pride in being able to work, and that's so important. So you guys, you really got that. And I don't know. It was important to us.
Some
that
of us
know
a
how to
little
work.
too well.
Yeah.
We don't know how not to work.
I think his love language is acts of service, and I think teaching your children gratitude comes a lot from service. Serving each other, loving each other more, serving each other, serving other people, seeing the difference in what you have.
You would have loved, I taught primary on Sunday, which is like our children's church music. And So it was all about kindness, because in February we did love, and so we were like, love God, love your neighbor. And then I would say, okay, we're going to have a secret mission this week. And I really had fun. But I said, okay, here's our secret mission. What would happen if your mom asked you to do something and you said, sure, Mom, I'll be glad to.
Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth.
So to hear that from your child, they were like, I looked at one of the kids and they looked at me and I said, what would your mom do? And they said, my mom would say, what did you say?
That's what our mom used to make us say. Excuse me?
Or I would
Say
say,
that again?
be kind, please rewind.
Yeah.
You know, and I told the kids that on Sunday, and it was like,
They're like, what's rewinding?
yeah, it's like they didn't know what a video was, and I'm like, I'm old, I'm ancient. Anyway.
Yeah, I saw that on a Blockbuster movie one time, and I was a little let down.
Be kind,
Like,
please
that
rewind.
mom made that up. Please rewind. Yeah,
Well, it was on all the videos. That's
I know.
what it said.
I didn't know until like later in life. I'm an adult.
Yeah, no, your mom is. I'm a thought stealer. I look for good thoughts and I steal them.
Awesome.
Good ideas.
We all are.
But I think that's what you're trying to do here is share ideas with each other.
Yeah.
And especially moms and women that are, and men that are trying to raise their families in a way that they can have productive, responsible, charitable adults later, you know? And I think all of you are that. And it's not because of me. It truly is not. And not because you're dad.
It's a little because of y'all.
Well, we had a little help.
You loved us.
We did. We adored you. We still do. I mean, and your kids, we love them more than y'all. So there you go.
Which I love.
I think that's the way it's meant to be.
I do too.
I'm just kidding. But we do treasure each one of you. You're all so different.
I'll never forget whenever I was first married, and I was like, nothing is special. Birthdays aren't special. Holidays aren't special. And I'm like, why is nothing special? And I'm like, oh crap, I have to do all of this. Mom did all of this to make it special, and now I have to do it. I was just like, why? But I mean, that was a huge like wake up call for me, because I was like, I need to make things special, and it's important.
Yeah.
Because y'all remember how cheap I used to be? I used to not do stuff at all because it was just less expensive. I know, right? So like, you
Dollar
can't do
Tree
that.
was my best friend.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like, oh, it's Valentine's. Let's go to Dollar Tree. It's Easter. Let's go to Walmart. Let's go to Dollar Tree. But
Yeah.
Yep.
we started doing Valentine's dinners because we couldn't find a babysitter on Valentine's night. So we started doing Valentine's for
These
you
stories
guys.
behind the reasons
Right?
are
Yeah.
blowing my mind.
Yeah, they couldn't get a babysitter.
Like, what?
So we thought, okay, we'll do heart-shaped pancakes, and then we'll do heart-shaped
Pink cake.
cookies, and we'll
Yeah.
do like
Yeah.
heart-shaped everything. And
By candlelight.
but then your dad was like, well, I don't want to go out on Valentine's because it's too busy and it's too crowded, and
Yeah.
you know, let's just do it with the kids. And so we just started doing that. And then he's like, can I please have one holiday? And I'm like, yes, you can have Valentine's Day.
and then he like went hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
I make my husband do Valentine's
Us
Day now
too.
because
And I'm
of
so
that.
grateful. It's his holiday.
I
to do
love
it.
Dad's teddy bears.
Me
and-
too. Yeah, y'all made it.
And
so
he
good.
might have given you 14 of the same bear. I don't know, but
No, they were all different.
they were different, and it was important to him that he really did. He loved it. So
I love it. I think that's great. So how would you say growing up with these values, an example, how has that impacted your families now with all of these grandkids? What do you guys think?
Like in our own family? Mm. I think whenever you were sharing the story, Courtney, about going to sing for the people, I think one thing that is important to like teach our kids gratitude is like exposing them to those types of things. Because like when I was growing up, like we would go to Mexico like every 2 years, and like I loved going, and but I just always remember being like, I'm so glad I don't live here. You know, that's not to like put a negative on Mexico. It's a beautiful country. I love the culture, the food, the people. But I just remember like seeing the people on the street and just like how eye-opening that was for me. And it made me like appreciate things more, appreciate my parents more. And last year we went to California and we went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And it was me, Josh, our 2 kids at the time, and my sister. And we were just walking around looking at all the names and stuff. And like, it was not what we expected it to be. Like, I thought it was going to be like a, I don't know, nicer area. But there was a homeless person sleeping on the ground. And Jade was like, Mommy, why is that person sleeping on the ground? And so it was like a good opportunity to teach her about, you know, gratitude. And she was very concerned because we saw more than one homeless person. At one point, she was like, Mommy, I think we need to call the ambulance. Like, she's just very worried. But I feel like that's, you know, one way that we can teach our kids gratitude. That's an opportunity that I've had.
I think traveling does that a lot. Our kids have been several, like, out of the country a couple times already, and that has taught them a lot of gratitude. And so now, lately, what we've been working on is, like, finding ways to help people when other people aren't. So, like, today, Austin saw this older gentleman that was putting stuff in the car. He was like, Mom, give me the cart. And I'm like, what is going on at Costco? And he was like rushing to get the cart in the thing so he could come back and get this guy's cart. And I'm like, yes, that is what I want my kids to be. I want them to see things. And as a mom, it's so easy, especially when you're by yourself with kids, to just stick to your own lane, to just be, because you're hyper aware of what's going on and where everybody is and what strangers are around and everything. But lately I've been trying to be the person that when somebody drops something, to be the one to pick it up. To be the first there to help, to be the first one to grab somebody's cart, to be the first one to help, because no one else is doing it. Everyone's in their own world, and to be a mom, to emulate that first, I think you guys both did such a good job of being that first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I asked Josh, like, if he had any stories about you guys, or you specifically, teaching him about gratitude. And at first he was kind of like, I feel like that was more like my dad's thing, like the gratitude thing. But then he like remembered one. And he said, I don't know how old he was, and you probably remember better than I can. But he said he was like, y'all were eating or something. I don't know if you were at home or out somewhere. And you were trying to get him to finish his food. And you were like, there are kids in Africa that are starving. And he was like, well, mail it to them.
Yeah, he did say that. He did. Yeah, I didn't let him forget that for a long time. Yeah.
Give it to them. I remember. Give it to them.
I said, how about let's just put it in a shoebox and just throw it in there and then just put it in the mail, and then what will it look like when it gets there? I was like, you little snot.
That's not the point, Josh.
The point is eat your food.
Yeah. Be grateful.
Well, I'm sure it embarrassed him to keep bringing it up too, so it worked.
Well,
he's very grateful.
And you know, it takes a lot of work to help your children see others. But if they're seen first and they feel important, and then they see, like you said, if they see you serving with gladness, with a grateful heart, and seeing the joy of it and not the drudgery, because serving can be, like if you're working in the food bank all day, it's a lot of work. If they see you doing that with joy, then they're like, well, wow, this is fun. How can we make anything bad fun? I think that was something that we just took a challenge. Like, okay, we're going to, we were always setting up chairs and tables at church. That was just something. And I remember couples that did that for years. And I was like, good gracious, they're still here setting up tables and chairs. You're still the last one sweeping the kitchen. Like, how? Yeah. 90.
But those are the people you want to be.
Exactly.
Right.
And those are the people that were always there for us. And we knew we had people that we could count on, and we wanted to be that for other people. And so if somebody called and said, we need something blank, well, we can call the Bradys, or we can call the Smiths, or we wanted to be on that list. We wanted it to be called the Kennedys because they love people and they care about people. And that, I mean, we didn't do it with the intention of we want to be a show. We just felt like it was important, you know. So,
Thanks for teaching us that.
well, you're welcome. Remember when you cross-stitched that thing for Dad? Because I was all about words matter. Like, I never wanted anyone to say anything they didn't mean.
Yep.
I hated that when people would say awful, ugly things and they didn't mean it, but they would. You just can't forget words. They're in your ears. They're in your
That's my
head.
love language too.
And your dad's was love is a verb, and you cross-stitched love is a verb for Christmas, you know.
He would say that a lot.
He would. He would say love is a verb, love is action, and I think it's both. And I think he and I made a good team with,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
did.
We tried.
That's really important.
Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed our conversation with Mom today. Thank you so much for coming to chat with us, Mom.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be your first guest. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
Thanks, Mom.
I hope that as you are listening to this, wherever you listen, I hope you will find some way to reach out to us and share with us maybe some way that you are or have taught your kids gratitude, like something you do to teach gratitude, because I think gratitude is more universal and a bit easier than faith. So we're going to take it easy on you and say, share with us how you incorporate gratitude into loving and teaching your families. And I think this was great. All right. Until next time.
Keep striving. We'll see y'all soon.
Thanks for hanging out with us here at Southern Sisters. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media for more laughs, heart-to-hearts, and behind-the-scenes real life. We'd be thrilled if you subscribed to the podcast, left us a review, and shared it with your friends, because life's always better when we're on this journey together. Until next time, keep striving, keep laughing, and keep showing up. We'll see you all back here real soon.